It seems like Bill Maher's full-time job these days is dissecting woke arguments, and his latest target, Whoopi Goldberg. Let's be honest, her ever-growing collection of cringeworthy statements since 2022 has practically made her a walking punchline. But instead of just criticizing her, Maher absolutely dismantled her piece by piece, leaving Whoopi ducking for cover like a cartoon character dodging anvils. So what exactly did Goldberg say to provoke Maher's unfiltered takedown? And why did the woke crowd lose their minds over his response? No need to worry, we've got every juicy detail covered in this article. Buckle up, everyone. Actually, scratch that. There are no seatbelts. This is more like a roller coaster ride.
To get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing. The right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
Whoopi Goldberg has pricked the bear, and now she's dealing with the claws of stark truth. And oh, it's not pretty. Remember our last video where Bill Maher attacked Sunny Hostin for trying to pull a fast one by putting words in his mouth? Well, seems out the View staff isn't taking the L quietly. This time, it's Whoopi Goldberg stepping up, apparently on a revenge mission to deliver their pound of flesh. Looks like Sunny couldn't handle the heat Maher delivered, so she called in the cavalry, Whoopi Goldberg herself. And boy, did she come in hot, ready to rumble like a competitor in a reality show nobody asked for.
Black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Whoopi Goldberg has poked the bear, and now she's facing the claws of cold, hard truth. And trust me, it's not pretty. Remember our last video when Bill Maher obliterated Sunny Hostin for trying to twist his words? Well, it looks like the View crew isn't taking the loss quietly. This time, it's Whoopi Goldberg stepping up, apparently on a revenge mission to take her shot at Maher. Seems like Sunny couldn't handle the heat, so she called in the cavalry, Whoopi herself. And let me tell you, she came in hot, ready to throw down like a contestant on a reality show no one even asked for.
Statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no, it's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid.
Whoopi Goldberg is treating the woke playbook as like it's her personal Bible, flipping through the pages, following the script, and sticking to the usual strategy. Build a straw man, go on the offensive, and hope no one notices when your argument collapses faster than the Titanic. Bill Maher was making a simple point. Black Americans want better jobs, a stronger economy, and fair policing. Seems obvious, right? But Whoopi, desperate to shift the conversation, suddenly starts rambling about electing a former prosecutor with aspirations for the working class. How is that relevant? It's not. Does it make sense? Not even close. She's basically throwing blindfolded darts and hoping something sticks. Spoiler alert, it didn't, and Maher, he wasn't having any of it.
I'm gonna stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You
his
really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all
No,
of a sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
As is untypical of The View, Bill Maher didn't hold back in calling out Whoopi Goldberg's arguments as downright ridiculous. At this point, the show has become the political equivalent of a train wreck, uncomfortable to watch, yet impossible to look away from. For years, The View has been known for its over-the-top drama, and, let's be honest, some questionable takes on nearly everything. But with their latest round of completely absurd voice comments, Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg have somehow managed to take the chaos to new heights. Remember when Charlemagne the God dared to step onto the set as a guest? You could practically see the regret in his eyes, like he had accidentally stumbled into an alternate reality.
On the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No No.
Here's the backstory. President Joe Biden, who has repeatedly insisted that no one is above the law, had recently pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, after he was convicted of corruption and other related crimes. So much for family. Values, right? As expected, this move sparked widespread backlash. After all, when your own son gets a free pass, how do you justify preaching about equal justice? Unless, of course, you're a die-hard Biden supporter, in which case you'll probably try to spin it as something noble. It's like claiming justice is blind to sad while Hunter stands there with cookie crumbs all over his face, swearing he didn't touch the jar. Somehow the Biden family calendar forgot to pencil in accountability. And oh, that's exactly the point Charlemagne the God was making. If the so-called woke crowd insists that everyone is subject to the law, then they should be willing to live by their own standards. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Well, Whoopi Goldberg had a very different idea.
I'm just gonna follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
You're
go out.
mis-
They're the
don't-
ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen.
They don't have.
And there you have it, another eye-rolling genuine from Whoopi Goldberg, the queen of cringe. This time, Whoopi had boldly claimed that President Biden's statement, "No one is above the law," was actually true. Really, Whoopi? Because there's a mountain of evidence that's proving otherwise. Audio, video, and maybe even ancient cave paintings at this point.
You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit.
It's like watching someone confidently declare that the sky isn't blue while standing under a cloudless sky. When Whoopi drops a blatant falsehood, her mental gymnastics could easily earn her an Olympic medal, though let's be honest, she'd probably trip over her own reasoning before making it to the podium. Charlemagne's face said it all. Pure disbelief. But Whoopi wasn't done. She went even further, insisting that maybe Biden changed his stance because he was tired of seeing people get away with crimes. At that moment, Charlemagne fell completely silent in shock.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course, you don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not.
The problem with the so-called awakened mob is simple. They only call out crime when the culprit isn't one of their own. The moment the guilty party and belongs to their exclusive club, the outrage suddenly fades into silence, turning into a mix of deflections, excuses, or just plain old selective amnesia. And of course, because Charlemagne was on the show, Whoopi and her crew managed to skate by with their usual antics. But that didn't last long. Once Bill Maher caught wind of their nonsense, he basically said, "How, Neto, hold my beer," and delivered one of the sharpest takedowns we've heard in a long time.
Matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
Maher was spot on when he pointed out how the awoke crowd loves to paint themselves as the ultimate moral authorities, in preaching about truth and justice. Yet their hypocrisy is on full display. It's for anyone paying attention, Hunter. Biden's guilt was so clear as day, but this time, no consequences, no slap on the wrist, nothing. Why? Because his father just so happens to be the president. Now, imagine if this were anyone else. The same crowd would be foaming at the mouth, demanding accountability and calling for heads on a silver platter. But since it's one of their own, suddenly favoritism trumps justice. It's the epitome of hypocrisy. And Maher was absolutely right to call it out as a complete farce. The real question is, how much longer will Americans put up with this? This isn't just about Hunter Biden. It's about a system that bends over backward to protect the powerful while turning its back on everyone else. And that's what makes Maher's takedown so powerful. It wasn't just timely. It was a warning to anyone still clinging to the illusion of equal justice. The most telling part, Maher pointed out that the mainstream media is actively running cover for all of this, working hand in hand to prop up the woke agenda.
Run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them. Black people, they're just like us.
In a desperate attempt to protect President Biden and sabotage Trump's re-election, the media went to the extraordinary lengths to downplay the Hunter Biden scandal. Despite mounting evidence, had major news outlets censored dissenting voices, dismissed valid concerns, and branded the entire narrative as Russian disinformation. And of course on The View, Whoopi Goldberg eagerly jumped on the bandwagon, mocking the legitimacy of the accusations. But Maher wasn't having any of it. What he called out the blatant contradiction for all to see was exposing the media's one-sided coverage and tearing apart Whoopi's weak justifications. Instead of seeking the truth, he made it clear she was simply running defense for Biden.
There's a coalition of Trump voters, people who really like him. They certainly are those. And then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common.
The women of The View, especially Whoopi Goldberg, aren't just woke. They're like a pack of sharks, circling and ready to tear apart anyone who dares to disagree. Their so-called debates aren't about facts or meaningful discussions. Instead, they rely on mockery, condescension, and outright bullying to silence opposition and force their worldview onto others. Whoopi in particular has perfected the art of dismissing opposing views with a smug wave of her hand, as if anyone who disagrees is simply beneath her. But Maher refused to play along. He'd have called them out for what they truly are. Not advocates, but bullies disguising themselves as champions of justice. And that's exactly why Maher has become such a thorn in their side. He doesn't just challenge them, he exposes their hypocrisy for everyone to see. In a landscape filled with one-sided, predictable narratives, his takedowns are a breath of fresh air for viewers who are tired of being spoon-fed the same. Tired rhetoric.
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.